Before today's video, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on the latest videos. If you want to see a case or topic covered by Paranormally Listed, then go to criminallylisted.com and fill out the questionnaire under the Suggest a Case tab. You may think that UFO sightings are a modern phenomenon, but you may be surprised to learn that paintings from as far back as the 15th century appear to be evidence that people have been seeing UFOs for centuries. We're going to look at 3 of these paintings in this video, and you can decide for yourself if these are 3 misinterpretations of the work of art, or if they're just ahead of their time in identifying something unidentifiable. Number 3, the Madonna with Saint Giovannino. The first painting that we're going to look at is the Madonna with Saint Giovannino, which is also referred to as Madonna of the UFO, Madonna of the Flying Saucer, and Madonna with Child with the infant Saint John. The painting was completed in the 15th century by Domenico Ghirlandaio. Ghirlandaio was born in 1449 in Florence, Italy, and died in 1494. However, there is some controversy about who is the true artist of the painting. Some have suggested that this painting was done by other paintings, including Sebastiano Mainardi. Mainardi was Ghirlandaio's brother-in-law and once his apprentice. That could explain why some people think that Mainardi painted it. But we're going to continue this video under the assumption that Ghirlandaio is the painter of the piece. Ghirlandaio's real name is Domenico di Tommasio di Corrado di Baffio Bagordi. The reason he is known as Ghirlandaio is because his father, Tommasio Bagordi, was a goldsmith. He made metal garlands that were in fashion with Italian women during this period. Ghirlandaio means garland maker, and that's how the family name came to be. Ghirlandaio started his career as an apprentice for his father, and while working, he would paint people who came and went from his father's workshop. He then began another apprenticeship, this time in painting, before starting his workshop. One of his apprentices was Michelangelo, who created the David sculpture and painted the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. Throughout Ghirlandaio's career, he became known for painting frescoes, which, according to Encyclopedia Britannica, is a method of painting water-based pigments on freshly applied plaster, usually on wall surfaces. He was known to incorporate religious themes into regular, everyday settings. Now let's turn to the painting in question. The painting is 1 meter in diameter with a gold frame around it. The woman in the image is Madonna, also known as the Virgin Mary, and below are 2 children, Jesus and Saint John. But there is some debate about which one is Jesus and which one is Saint John. But the painter's identity and the people in the painting aren't the most interesting thing about this piece of art. If you look to the top right corner of the painting, you'll see something in the sky that looks like it might not belong. It's a round shape, and a man in the distance seems to be looking up at it. The dog next to the man seems to be barking. They seem to be drawn by whatever the object is. They can be confused or surprised, but either way, it looks out of place. Some have claimed that the object in the sky occupying the man and the dog's attention is a UFO. The argument is supported by the observation that lights are coming from it. There are a couple theories about what is happening in this painting. The one is that the Madonna is sitting purposely to protect her 2 children so that they don't see the possible UFO. Some have pointed out that the brightness of the Madonna's halo seems to be weakened by the lights of the UFO. Some have questioned whether the man is looking at the UFO or turning away. While some people think this is a UFO, of course there's some people who don't agree. During this period in history, God, angels, or the divine in general are often represented as fire or stars. So those that don't believe that this is a UFO argue that it's supposed to be a star or a radiant cloud representing the divine. Also, on the left side, there's a nativity star. You'll see that underneath the nativity star, there are 3 smaller stars. There's an understanding from the Byzantine period that this serves to represent the virginity of the Madonna, specifically her virginity before, during, and after childbirth. so the objects in the sky may have to do more with the Christian religion than anything that includes aliens. But it does look more like an alien spacecraft than a star or something to do with divinity. Notably, it's not bright. Regardless of what it is, since we can't go inside the artist's head, we won't know if he saw a UFO one day and thought it belonged in this painting, or he was finding a way to include Christian iconography that he felt was necessary to the piece. Number 2. The Annunciation with Saint Emidius. The same questions have arisen concerning the next painting we'll discuss, and there are similar responses from the other side. The painting is called The Annunciation with Saint Emidius. It was painted by Carlo Crivelli, who was born in Venice, Italy, around 1430. Crivelli left Venice in 1458 and went to live in the March of Ancona. An interesting little side fact about Crivelli is that he went to jail in 1457 for adultery. He ended up spending 6 months in jail. This could explain why he moved away from Venice in 1458. The painting was finished in 1486 and was created for a specific purpose. The painting was for the church of the SS Annuncia in Ascoli Piceno. The city had just been awarded self-government by Pope Sixtus IV in 1482, and this portrait was meant to commemorate that. If you pay attention to some details, you'll see nods to this theme throughout the painting, but we'll get to that in a moment. Let's start with what we see in the painting. On the right is the Virgin Mary in her room. Outside of her house in the sky, there's a star with a ray of light that's going in a straight line directly into Mary's head. This is meant to represent the Immaculate Conception of Mary with Jesus in the Christian tradition. The angel Gabriel is also walking towards Mary's house to tell her she's pregnant. You can tell it's him because he has wings. Beside him is a man who is trying to show him something. That's where it starts connecting the reason for the painting, which is about the city of Ascoli Piceno. This is where the details come in about how this painting was to celebrate the self-government for Ascoli Piceno. The person next to Gabriel is Saint Emidius, the patron saint of Ascoli Piceno. He is carrying a model of Ascoli Piceno. Another connection you'll notice is at the bottom right. There is a coat of arms of Pope Sixtus IV and Prospero Caffarelli, who was the bishop. Pope Sixtus IV granted the town self-government, and there are also the words Libertas Escolata on the painting, which means church liberty, and it refers to the city's status. Other religious iconography on the portrait include an apple, which symbolizes the forbidden fruit and the original sin in Christianity. There is also a cucumber, possibly representing redemption and resurrection, but there is some debate around that. Also, as part of the artist's style, some people are depicted experiencing everyday life. Now, why do people feel that this image represents encounters with aliens? Some believe that the object shooting a ray into Mary's head isn't a star. Instead, it's a UFO. One of the reasons that people believe it's a UFO is because of the way that the ray of light enters Mary's home is reminiscent of the way that people have discussed their UFO abduction experiences. A beam of light carried them up. Also, many people have been inside their homes when their abductions occurred. Some theories have taken it a step further and have argued that Jesus is not a religious figure at all, but instead he was an alien who was the result of Mary being abducted and impregnated by aliens. Some people believe that art, like this painting, reveals that UFOs and UFO encounters have been around for centuries. One person in particular, Jacques Vallée, a UFOologist, has stated that these paintings are important. He said, the value of it, scientifically, is that we can now anchor the beginning of the UFO phenomenon into real, documented history. However, others argue that this is simply a religious painting. Massimo Polidoro, co-founder and executive director of the Italian Committee for the Investigation of Claims in Pseudosciences, has stated that the object in the sky is a way that many paintings and other works depicting religious figures like God from that time. He said that people see it as a UFO because they are seeing the painting through their own lens. Number 1. The Baptism of Christ. Like the last two paintings, this final painting on the list represents religious icons and symbols. This painting is called The Baptism of Christ. It was finished around 1710 by Dutch painter Art de Gelder. De Gelder was born on October 26, 1645. The Dutch school, specifically Rembrandt, influenced his work throughout his career. He was a student of Rembrandt's in Amsterdam and ended up being one of his last students. Much of his work focused on Bible scenes, which is the case with the painting in question. The painting features Jesus Christ being baptized in the Jordan River by John the Baptist with what seems to be a spotlight on them and people watching. There is also a dove in the middle of the light source in the sky. It seems like a typical Christian scene, but you should look closer at the light shining down on them. The light rays shining down look like they're coming from an object in the sky. Those who believe that de Gelder intended this painting to represent an alien encounter argue that the intention was to show, much like the previous painting, that Jesus was an alien. On the website, The Ancient Aliens, they claim that the UFO in the painting matches how many people have reported their alien encounters. Furthermore, human flight had not been accomplished then, so the flying object had to be another type of intelligent life. Of course, others argue that this simply is a religious painting. They point out that's a specific Bible verse that de Gelder is representing here, Matthew 3:16, which reads, "As soon as Jesus was baptized, he went up out of the water. At that moment heaven was open, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting on him." Another claim, similar to the idea of stars representing the divine, is that the light from a dove is often used to represent something coming from God. So, are these paintings really representing UFO encounters? If you look at the way the supposed UFOs are painted, it's easy to understand why some people feel that way. There have been so many claims of UFO sightings in the modern era, who's to say that never happened centuries ago? Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it interesting. If you did find it interesting, please make sure you subscribe. We'll have a new video about the paranormal every week. If you just discovered this channel, please make sure you check out our other channel, Criminally Listed. We have over 325 videos featuring bizarre but true crime stories. You can find it at youtube.com/criminallylisted. We also have a podcast about cold cases that were eventually solved called Criminally Listed Presents Into the Killing. You can find it on Stitcher, Spotify, Amazon Music, and anywhere you find great podcasts. But that's all for today. Thanks again for watching.